From that break, it's exactly 3 minutes past 8. You're still watching Smart Means Business, your daily Kickstarter. I'm on Juba region with Masi Katsumi, so we're driving you through all the way. Well, still to remind you that you can actually trade the markets now on the platform anytime from now. Still going to be operating, just about 12 minutes left. And to participate, it's quite simple. Star 292 hash is the code for you there. This will lead you to buy bonds and securities for 15,000 you get in shillings. Now at 8:15, get ready up to 3:15 p.m. That is East African time. This is effective Monday up to Friday. Apart from the weekends and the public holidays, when these buckets are out of actually access, but you have these other days to make money, something which I believe is quite key and important when it comes to your financial development as an individual. Zaba made this a reality, and top of Star 292 hash. Also remember, you need to register with your national identification number if you're to proceed efficiently. And that's why Zabu clearly says, my money, my future. Also, East Africa clearly also says that you got to do something new for yourself. It is 2023. Now, this point in time, as of course, it's the inspiration moment. Let's get into those business tips and quotes to kickstart your day. Well, it's much more better for you to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation. Imitate. But imitation is not bad. You can imitate somebody.
Yeah, you can imitate, but that is not original. That is not you. I've always had a problem with people wanting to be like other people. Yeah, I always have a problem. I love originality. I love being me. You know, I mean, when you start being you, someone else will look up to you. But you're there, you want to speak the way someone does, you want to, talk the way someone does. I mean, you're not being real, you're just a replica of the other.
Sure.
Which could be an ugly version.
But you see, there is, I've seen musicians actually building careers on other people's foundations, I mean, when it comes to identity, and they made it. You may make it by personality. Personality it has a unique. But you see, okay, there is that. But you see, there are people who don't care as long as you give them what they want. For example, we had a group called Amigos.
Yeah,
it's still there.
Amigos Brothers.
Yeah, but they sounded the same, almost every person. So you could feel like, okay, even when they went for solo careers, they sounded the same. But people liked them. So at some point, there is, because there is what the Bible talks about. Paul is saying, imitate me as I imitate Christ. So imitation is something that has been happening.
Or at a certain level of life, maybe a certain, part of life, you have to imitate someone, but not entirely. Some people go overboard entirely. They want to look like you. They want to speak like. They want to sleep like you do. That is why I'm saying personality. There's a way personality twists everything.
Sure.
Because now I'm imagining if you're not a talker and you're trying to talk just because you want to imitate someone, it's going to be hard. That's not you. That's not you.
But you see, when you're imitating somebody, you can't sustain it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But some people can sustain it, can sustain an imitations, and they make it.
But there are very few.
Yeah, it's a skill. By the way, imitation is a skill. I wish people knew that. It's not just you working up and, you know, you feel like, hey, I can be like this person, I can be like this person. Well, there is something, you know, there is what they call programming. You can program your life in some sort of a way. And most especially when they talk about a trance. When you're in a trance, you can actually program yourself to live a certain way when it comes to taking decisions in life. You know, how you speak, how you walk, and even how you think, you know, all so many of those perspectives. But imitation is quite key. It lays down a foundation, I believe, for any person to do anything. And once you have that stable foundation, you will definitely be in a position to actually build for yourself. Very key and always influential. To have people to write on, mentors to write on, and let's try to actually do what they do at the same time. From there, you can actually be in position to pick up your own destination, to pick up your own direction. It's like how your father, your parents actually give you the education and all that, but of course, as you study along the way, you get to understand what works for you in education. That's why we have what we call, we start with a huge bulk of subjects in senior one. Of course, with the new curriculum, I believe that is going to change, but for the traditional curriculum, 20-something subjects, you narrow to 8, you narrow to 4, finally, you reach university, you narrow to 1. Why? The foundation, of course, doing everything, in that process, you're able to pick up what makes for you. The same applies to imitating somebody. When you go into somebody's shoes and you have a feeling of how it feels to be like them, well, that is going to give you an inspiration to also step out on your own, build out a foundation, and there you'll find your identity. Sometimes it's pride not to have mentors. I know people say, I want to be original, I want to be all this. Well, it is okay, be original, but you might be original doing things the wrong way. Imitation helps you to actually get a skill on how you can use what you have to use. Know how it's like if you want to speak, you emulate the best speakers that you love. Mainly, you start by speaking out their articles, what they do. You rehearse their plays, their speeches. From that, you will also be in position to actually derive your own speeches and also derive your own style, because once you try to imitate somebody, and one thing people need to realize is that even though you try to be somebody else, once you record yourself and you listen to yourself, you'll actually find that there is a totally different version of what you're trying to imitate. You may probably think, I want to sound like so and so. For example, if you're doing music, you say, I want to sound like this rapper if you're doing this. But the funny thing is, when you record yourself and you listen back to your headsets, you get to realize that however much for you in your subconscious mind, when you were speaking, you were recording this, you felt like you sound like this person. But on actually listening to, you realize that there is a difference. So that difference you notice, that is you. That is the you. Now try to rub. Actually, I normally use this. Try to rub out that in your mind, thinking, okay, I want to sound like this. The sound you've had after recording yourself, which is the you. Now focus on that. Focus on that voice, and try to rotate within that. That's where you'll find your originality, because it can never be the same. In how we do all things. But you see, there is also a skill of being noticing your identity and be consistent in that, because there are times you might switch off because of society, what you've been exposed to, and you feel like you don't trust in you, but you trust in being someone else. Being someone else gives you the confidence for you to do what you do. But I feel like when you discover who, your style, for example, if it's speech, it's key and wisdom for you to be consistent in that. And you follow that, and it becomes a part of you. Before you know it, you cannot be moved, and you learn to appreciate yourself. Well, that is it for our inspiration moment for now. And now, of course, we need to take a look at this time around. What is trending out there? All right, now this is at Sprinter. This is Sprinter, and of course something to do with a big Chinese project in Latin America that worries. That is Washington. Well, that is of course talking about the U.S. thing. Aspects that happen normally worry America. Now the article here reads, as I'm going to be going through it, it says that a big Chinese project in Latin America that worries Washington. Now, Peru's new deep port to connect China and South America. A port is being built on Peru's Pacific coast as part of China's most ambitious Belt and Road project in Latin America, designated to promote trade between the regions and, of course, raising concerns from the United States of America. Now, the 1.3 billion project will provide a direct route to China, that is reducing sailing time by 10 days. 10 days, and usually shipping the South America to China takes more than 45 days. Now, this will be China's first tanker port in South America, and this will be China's first tanker port in South America. Oh, it's a repetition, sorry. It's a repetition. I think the writer repeated these words. Now, the complex will also include an industrial and logistics park with an area of about 1,100 hectares rather. Yeah, that is a project in China, Latin America, that is worrying America rather. Okay, now this is the spokesperson. I'm seeing spokesperson. This is at MFA China. Starting from August 30th, 2023, inbound travelers will no longer be required to take pre-entry nucleic acid or antigen tests. That is for the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, can we say that China is now 100% entirely getting rid of the COVID-19 restrictions? Well, that is something as we shall get to be observant. Now, this is at Eurasia Geopol. China has done more for Africa than any other country in the world. China, Africa, friendship. That is what he actually finalizes with. This is Silk and Steel at Eurasia Geopol, giving such remarks, seeing the different construction projects in Africa that are being carried out by China. Now, brakes of electric vehicles in Britain could be controlled remotely. That is by China. Of course, a report by Chinese surveillance report expert warned that some EV systems with brakes and steering potential targets could be actually susceptible as a result of that. Now, brakes of electric vehicles in Britain could be controlled by remotely. And by the way, you see, in Europe, US, I believe this is actually quite a great possibilities whereby actually the brakes can be controlled by a certain control center. Yeah. Now, this is at Newsmax. China will no longer require a negative COVID-19 test result. That is from incoming travelers starting Wednesday, of course, which is tomorrow. So if you travel into China, it's not going to be, COVID-19 is not really, it's not a big deal as we speak right now. Well, congratulations that we're actually being able to, it was the greatest fear of almost every person, but now it's not. So traveling to China won't require more COVID tests. Now, China's economic boom troubles are ending its geopolitical rise. Yeah, this is at MRB Cyber. And that is Michael Ron Bowling. And of course, we see China's economic troubles mark the end of the geopolitical ascent. Beijing's clamp down on freedom and openness will reverse the very drivers of the country's rise. So that is quite still clear. As we can see, China, of course, promising to support a united Africa. Well, probably that gives a reason as to why Africa should be a part of the BRICS. Now, this is Ajam Baraka. I said, if China is behaving aggressively towards the U.S., that is in the South China Sea. Could I have that one more time? Still going through. Could I have the previous trend? Okay, if China is behaving aggressively towards the U.S., that is in the South China Sea, why doesn't the U.S. leave the South China Sea? Now, Western imperialism and justification, white supremacy have been so naturalized that these kinds of questions appear ridiculous. That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Why doesn't the U.S. leave the South China Sea? Yes, if they say that China is behaving aggressively towards the U.S. Something here to debate about, and I share insights or some facts in here that are being observed by a few observers. All right, still in our social media trends in here, China definitely proving to be moving all the way. Now, the Butcher of Wall Street, this is Kalinovic at Boss Blanche. It says, of course, breaking news, China reduces capital gains tax on stock trading by 50% to prevent market collapse. Now, Evergrande down 87% from the first day of resuming trading. Number 3, Chinese government orders state banks and funds to buy stocks to boost. That is the failing market. Wow, state banks should buy stocks. And then I see something here to do with global banks. And yeah, wow. So states can actually buy stocks to boost the failing markets. Where the private sector is actually failing in now, this is where the government comes in to make sure that they can actually create a balance. Now, this is the beauty of communism. The aspect of a failing, collapsing market, and the government is actually supposed to come in and offer a hand. Wow. It's quite unusual in the US. That's why we see many times that when the stock market collapses, it's a huge wave of people that are being affected, following the recent, of course, the meltdown, which majority of the people are actually kind of sort of prophesying likely to happen. I'm talking about economic experts, not prophets, as you might think, but economic prophets in that perspective. Talking about a possible, something similar to a crackdown and all that. So you could ask yourself, where are the governments of the different nations to actually come and intervene to see how they can, create a balance. Now, that's the whole beauty of communism. And this is quite one of the greatest agendas of the BRICS, the nations, and we see quite a number of them actually coming in to join the BRICS. African nations are joining all the way, and so many other countries. Of course, despite a few differences, which I believe the flag bearers, that is Russia and China, can actually look through in and point out. But me, in my opinion, I was thinking that the best way we can actually be of great benefit to the BRICS, if we are to be a part of them as Africa, is Africa will be much more relevant to the BRICS as a united Africa, not as a fragmented Africa. And probably, if at least we could pick out that, we could have a reason to side with the BRICS. As long as they can actually support the unity of Africa, that is the greatest thing they can ever do. Something which the Western world has not approved of for the last, I don't know how many years since Africa got independence. Talking about the states in Africa since they got independence. The whole idea of a united Africa has never been supported at all. And it's always been fought for quite some time. Well, it's exactly 22 minutes past 8, and now we come to the end of this hour. And of course, still to remind you that the markets on the Zabo platform, as I speak right now, they're already on. Just 7 minutes back, the market started to operate. And for you to participate right now, it's quite simple. *292# is the code for you there, which will avail you with options where you will actually be in position to purchase government bonds and securities for 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, at exactly 8:15, that's when the markets open, and they're going to be running up to at 3:15 p.m. That is West African time. This runs up to Friday, apart from the weekends and the public holidays when those markets cannot be accessed. But of course, despite that, you have the rest of the days to capitalize and make money, something which I believe it's quite key and instrumental when it comes to your financial growth and development as an individual. That's why Zabo clearly says, my money, my future. And Oltex East Africa tells you gotta do something new for yourself. Remember, it is 2023. Well, now we'll take a short break, and I will be returning with business and sports and entertainment.